Kane, Director of Finance.
Dana Ingstrom, City Clerk.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Jolene Graham, Assistant City Administrator.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right, at this time, James Gillespie, First Baptist Church of Douglas, is going to lead us in invocation. Thank you, sir.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to you tonight. We thank you for the opportunity and the freedom that we have to gather together to have a government that is of the people, for the people. Lord, I do thank you for the city of Andover, Lord. I thank you for the leadership, Lord, not only with the city council and the mayor, Lord, but also in our police and fire and EMS, Lord. I pray that you bless them in their endeavor. I pray that all the business that is done here tonight would be glorifying to you and for the best benefit of the citizens here in Andover. Lord, I pray that you protect this community. Lord, I pray that you protect the businesses and the schools and the students and the homes and the families. Lord, I pray that you make this town a place where your glory is seen, as a place that is drawing to people to come and live and to work and to play. And Lord, I just pray that you bless this evening. Again, may this business be unto you. And Lord, I pray that you bless all those here today. And Lord, it's in the name of your son, Jesus, that we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you would join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. At this time, I'll open the floor for public forum. If you'd like to speak to the governing body, state your name and address and keep it short.
George Theo Harris, 519 Woodstone Place. I wanted to tell you guys that I like working with you guys because you're very inviting and you actually talk back, not talk back, but you communicate back with me. And so I appreciate that. City of Wichita, they're like, they got their heads stuck in the sand. But I went to Wichita and talked in front of them and I bragged on you guys. So I appreciate you guys. So since I want to be this team, we had a pothole out here is Vernon? Where's Vernon? There he is. So we had a pothole over there, subway in front of on Andover Road, and I kept hitting it. So I asked Vernon, he says, that's city water. So I called up the city of Wichita. I got their director, public works director. I got him kind of on the run a little bit, especially when you put their city council down there. And he went ahead and he came and said he temporarily fixed that pothole, and then he's going to come in and permanently because Vernon can't do it because it's city water. So I got city of Wichita come over here and help you guys. So I want you to know that that's what I'm going to try to do. But now I need some help. I'm trying to get my 3 pins in my backyard. The central, then the berm at the Crescent Lakes. I'm at Crescent Lakes, and then my property line. I cannot find my property pins. I mean, have got other people's metal detectors and stuff. I tried to get my HOA to do it, and I actually told them that I was going to put a tariff against them if they wouldn't help me, but that's still in the works. So I was hoping that. I was talking with one of your gentlemen, and I don't know which one it is. I don't even know if he's here, but you guys got this fancy dang metal detector. And I wanted to see if you'd work with me and let me borrow it just for, if I can't find it in 2 hours, then I'm just going to get a bulldozer. But I need some help. And so I'm begging you to, whoever that gentleman is he here that I've talked with on the phone? Well, anyhow, it was somebody. And it wasn't a janitor or anything. It was one of the people that he's got the 7 times as good as anyone I can find. I need to find those pins. And one last thing, where am my time at? In Wichita, they give you this thing and then
No, you're all right.
All right. So one last thing. So Jay Leno was just in town. Believe this or not, all true statement. He's from Andover, Massachusetts, 4 miles from me. I sent off to his people. I said, hey, I'm in Andover, Kansas. I'll come pick you up at the airport stuff and cater you around, and you could stay in my basement. I think that's the thing that probably he has 2 extra security guards now because some kook wanted him to stay in his basement. He didn't realize we have a halfway decent basement. So, but anyhow, but yeah, he's from Andover, Massachusetts, and Andover, Kansas. I just thought that was a nice little thing. But anyhow, so I don't know how you guys do that,
Name.
but huh?
That's how we got our name.
Probably, yeah, because I'm from Haverhill, Massachusetts, which you know Haverhill Road, and then Climax. I don't know how that got in the picture, but if you keep going east, but anyhow, so can I see if you guys would do that? You normally don't borrow stuff out to citizens, but I've been struggling with this. So is that something you guys might be willing to do?
We can look into it.
All right, I appreciate that. That's good as I should get. So, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, George.
Did you fill out a card with your name and address?
Dana has it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else?
My name is Kevin Honchu, and I live at 2844 North Tallgrass Street in Wichita, Kansas. And the reason I'm here tonight is to introduce myself and thank you for the hospitality in the last few years. Every year we have the Corvette Blitz with the Heartbeat of Kansas Friends. And what it is a car show. It starts from 10 to 4 and it is scheduled to take place on June the 1st. A couple years ago, Ronnie came out to the airport in Augusta. I think it must have been the hottest day for the whole year. It was probably 113 degrees. And he was out there and he says, you know, we'd like to bring this to Andover. One thing led to another. The first year we had it at Central Park. Last year we had it at Heritage. And this year we're having it at the 13th Street Sports Park. So I want to thank you for your hospitality. Couple things I'd like to ask you to do, if you would, is maybe block off the south parking lot on Saturday afternoon. The show is on Sunday. We will have music and a food truck. So you're all welcome to come on out. If you have a car, bring it on out. It's not just Corvettes. It's all different kinds of cars, even though Corvette people think that that's the only car made.
4 doors welcome.
Absolutely. Anything cool. But I do have a question for the city council because we were required last year. Do you need a certificate of insurance, liability insurance?
None of our processes have changed last year, so if that was a requirement, then it would be again this year. Have you gotten to work with our Parks and Rec manager or anyone from the city, like your request for the parking lot? Have you gotten to have a meeting about that?
That was organized through Ronnie.
Yeah, Randy Miller and I think Daniel Shapals had conversations. Is that correct, Daniel?
Okay. And insurance is still required, yes? Okay, so we haven't gotten to that point yet, but he will work with you on that, yes.
I will get it in process and get it ready for you. I'm sure it'll be the same certificate holders last year.
Okay.
Anyway, once again, I thank you for the opportunity to address the city council. And we sincerely appreciate your hospitality and hopefully we'll be able to generate some tax revenue.
And by the way, I did clear it with the landowner at 13th and Andover Road for you to put a trailer sign or whatever you want to do, as long as you don't cut the grass.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it'd be the southeast corner.
Okay.
You can put a trailer there, whatever you want that lets people know, go that way.
Okay.
And we're happy to have you, Kevin.
Okay. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Kevin, I just want to thank you too for your hospitality with your group because, you know, when I first heard about it and the mayor was telling me about the Corvette Club, I'm like, here's a bunch of stuffy old guys that are going to have their cars all polished up. And the mayor said, no, bring your kids. And I have 3 little ones. And I want to tell you, you know, I had this speech with them before we met the Corvette Car Club. And that was, don't touch anything and stay at least 3 feet away from all the cars. That didn't happen because your folks were very just warming to the kids and let them sit in the cars.
So it was just an awesome experience for those of you that have kids that even have any interest in cars, a little bit of interest in cars. This car club was amazing when it came to welcoming little kids and letting them touch, feel, sit in these cars, and it was awesome. So I really appreciate that.
Well, unless I'm out of time, I do have a little story about how the Heartbeat of Kansas Corvette Club started.
Go ahead.
We were sitting in my garage watching sports, and later on I said, it's a good thing we weren't drinking tequila and smoking dope, because the club would look a whole lot different. But we were smoking cigars and drinking a little rum, and my friend goes, what do you think about how the Corvette guys are acting? I says, they've all been friends for years, and all of a sudden we chose up sides based on political beliefs. He goes, we ought to start another club. What would it look like? No officers, no meetings, no dues. We just drive our cars on roads less traveled and be nice. And it has grown to, I think there's 750 members. Not that they all are going to show up in Andover, which would be nice for a day, but that's how that whole thing started. It just started. I thought, yeah, if we get 15, 20 people, that'd be great. Then 50, then 100, and then it just kind of exploded. And it's a fairly large group, but like all groups, about 40 people participate.
And they showed up, by the way, they showed up at the CAPS car show that was a non-sponsored event that two young ladies put on for a class assignment, 2 weeks ago? And I appreciate that. They did too. And one of the gentlemen, as Homer said, let me sit down the Corvette. And then he shut the door. When he opened the door, we had to rent a crane from Andover Rental to get me out of the Corvette, but it worked out all right. But they're part of our community, and they have been, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Mr. Mayor, and just for clarification, you said June 1st, which is Sunday from 10 to
10 to 4.
10 to 4?
And they won't have no alcohol, just food.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you, brother.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Oh, Marcy Lafine, how are you tonight, young lady? You're not going to read the Constitution, are you?
I can.
I know
Yeah,
you
it's
can.
like- Hi, I'm Marcy Lafine. I live at 301 South Sunflower Lane, Andover. I've had conversations with the police department multiple times, so have my neighbors, about the traffic that's been flying through on our roads since we've been connected to the heritage. So I'm just to be a voice tonight on the downside of connectivity. Unfortunately, we've not seen any reduction in calling the police, and I know they're busy, and this is no slight to them whatsoever. But we're just at a loss. Some of our neighbors have talked to the construction group beside us and just said, these are semi trucks flying down our street. Can you get them to drive 25? One asked, can they go another route? Can they just go in and out of Yorktown? We have no sidewalks on Willowbrook. So when you have a semi, and I'm a stay-at-home wife yet, and I like to garden, and honestly, this connectivity has really ruined our neighborhood. If you're not all familiar with it, we all have a half acres, our street can go through. We were encapsulated, and now we are connected, and we've become this speed race spot. So with no sidewalks, and for some reason with the warm weather, I don't know where these individuals are coming from, but recently we've had 2 individuals coming down on wheelchairs, and it honestly terrifies me. I don't know if they're coming from the assisted living, but I said to one gentleman, I said, please be careful. The semis are flying through here. And he said, yeah, I've seen that. I'm like, okay, but here's no sidewalk. I literally can hear one guy upshifting 4 times and Jake braking as he gets to turn into the heritage site they're working on for the assisted living. They're not all doing that, but as one of my neighbors said, is there a reason they need to come this way? When they're empty, they can get going fast. This is not when they're full. This is when they're coming in empty. But it's not just the semis. It's all the contractors going to and from the heritage. that are late to the job or something. I would say it is a rare person who's going the speed limit on our street. And it's concerning. As we back out of our driveway, I'm like, is there a semi coming? Which, that's crazy. That is, so is there a way to put a no thoroughfare for trucks? I mean, I honestly, I've felt a bit of despair for a couple weeks, just going, well, when the dump trucks ran through here for a year, we were told it's a city street and we had no say. So I guess we have no say. But then I was like, but there's a speed limit. There's a speed limit and they're not going the speed. They're flying through here. So here to ask for some help. Rick, are you Rick right here? So we're getting our culvert replaced and I thought, well, I'm at City Hall yesterday. I thought I'm going to ask if there's anybody who can help with this situation. Ended up talking to Rick. What a wonderful gentleman. He's talking about doing a survey. But I said we would probably still come tonight because as our elected officials, I think you need to see the other side of connectivity.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little alarmed that Yorktown, that stop sign was taken out because that's our walking route. And I could tell you, we've seen unbelievable fast racing of vehicles on that back Yorktown route. So that's my feedback on connectivity. Thank you.
The stop sign at Yorktown and Douglas?
Yes, sir. Yeah, alarmed.
Okay.
There's a school there. I know I don't make the decisions, but what I'm seeing, I'm just like, that's just made it even more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marcy.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say I appreciate you coming and speaking, Marcy. And you're right, this is a great forum so that we can all hear some of the challenges that you're facing out there. Thank you.
My name is Gary Adams. I live at 428 East Willowbrook, just across the street from the assisted living project. South side of my road is covered in dust. Goes through my garage. And in some states, they require these construction sites to have vehicles on site to spray the rock down so it doesn't have so much dust coming across the street, invading other people's areas. Along with the speeding of cars on Willowbrook, the corner of Shea and Willowbrook is a revenue maker. About 1/4 of the cars that go through there, and I'm not talking rolling stops, I'm talking don't stop, actually kind of speed up through that intersection. You could have a patrolman just south of that of 1 block, and he can see everything goes through that intersection. And people coming from Casey's, going through there, they're busy looking at that beautiful park in the area, and they miss that stop sign. That's revenue. So anyway, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Sure.
Chief Buck, is that something that we can look at?
Oh, you bet.
and
Each
see?
time that we're reported these, we do take them to our traffic safety committee. If it has something to do with engineering issues or anything like that, we do have an operational radar trailer box that we use. We post when, and we're planning on purchasing a second one because we do have complaints throughout town that we run it for weeks at a time instead of, that way we get a good study of the traffic patterns and everything else going on. This one will be something, I've got notes on it that we'll put in the area as well. And we'll definitely get back with individuals as far as that. I want to be very clear. We do not do traffic stops for revenue. We do it to stop speeders and we do it to stop people committing accidents, but 0 is for revenue. My officers know that as well.
Well, thank you for that.
So-
I think it's probably a good idea. So
But you have more than just, we used to have the trailer. Now you have boxes that aren't visible, so people don't realize that.
Yeah, I've got a box that is not your typical, you see them throughout Wichita, your speed, all this kind of stuff. So it's a box that's very discreet. We don't want people to know it's there because that way we can get better data. If people know that big old trailer that says your speed's flashing, it can skew the number. So we do have a system. We do have another one we're purchasing this year, so we can run more than one a year. We just purchased it last year and it's been a very effective tool.
I do travel that road with frequency, by the way, so I do care about your neighborhood, believe it or not. Right?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
in regards to Jake breaking, didn't we do a Jake breaking ordinance for Kellogg? Is that only for Kellogg or is that for all streets in Andover?
It's in Wichita. I mean, sorry, Andover. It's all of Andover. No Jake breaking itself. We have signs posted coming into the city about no Jake breaks.
On
prohibited, but
54 though?
So as most people know, I worked at Wholesale Fire, not Wholesale, god dang it. Where'd I work this summer, Tim?
The RV place?
The RV place. They put brand new signs up while I was standing there and people ignore the signs. I mean, the Jake break signs. I mean, they literally put brand new signs up in front of Wholesale Fireworks. That's what had my mind. That you have to keep in mind that we have 3 to 4 officers on duty at a time, and to take care of 400 highways is impossible. We're still a city of 16,000 people. And it's just impossible for us to take care of everything. Our citizens' safety is first and foremost every day, all day and every day. But I do appreciate your input, and we don't want you all to be, because you do have a very nice place. And I appreciate your input. Okay. You too, sir.
Buck, maybe just also just an update or update your officers or talk to them or refresh them on the Jake breaking again too. So that way, I mean, I'm sure they know everything, but it's just a good review, I guess.
Oh, you bet.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Public forum's closed. Acceptance of agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. I just want to take a second to make it very clear. We do care about each and every citizen in this town, and we do the best we can to make, that's the whole point, is to make, I say all the time that municipalities have more to do with your day-to-day life than the president of the United States. And I take that seriously. And so does everybody on this governing body. All right, awards. Rick is going to talk to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm here to present the Public Works Employee of the Year Award. A little background, we used to do an employee and a supervisor of the year. We've combined that into one award. So we're taking those two and combine them into one. So just for reference, so if some of you might remember, we used to do two. We no longer do that. This year, we had 4 different individuals nominated. All those were nominated multiple times by different people within our organization. So it says a lot about our group of Public Works Utility employees. So tonight, I'm here to present the award to Nathaniel Ingersoll, our GIS and asset analyst. A few years ago, we were fortunate, truly fortunate, to have Nathaniel join our organization. I'll be honest, I don't really know how we'd have gotten through the last 2 years without him as part of our team. As I gain more experience, and that's really just kind of a polite way to say as I get older, I've kind of learned a few things about more successful management. And I think it really comes down to a few key things. Putting the right people in the right roles, ensuring they have the tools they need to be successful. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for that. And offering a clear vision of what needs to be accomplished. Keeping the door open for guidance when needed. And then perhaps the most importantly thing is get out of their way and let them do their job. Nathaniel is exactly that kind of person who makes that approach work. He's someone who makes Public Works and Utilities look good. In fact, I'd go further and say he makes the city of Andover look good. Whether you're working behind the scenes, which much of the work he does is behind the scenes, or presenting at conferences, he consistently represents the city of Andover with professionalism, innovation, and pride. One of the nominees' forms we received said it best. I'm going to quote this. Nathaniel has done a great job helping with our department with asset management.
He's quick to assist, always willing to find a solution, even if he doesn't know the right answer right away. That's the kind of teammate we all hope to work with. Over the past year, Nathaniel has represented the city of Andover, 2 different professional conferences. The feedback I've received from attendees, many from cities far larger than ours, with more staff and more resources, has been overwhelmingly positive. They're not just impressed with what we've achieved. They are a little bit envious. That speaks volumes about Nathaniel's work and the innovation he brings to our team. Another nomination noted, he supports all departments, not just public works, with mapping and drone services, whether it's promotional materials for the mayor and community development director, project imagery to track progress, or even supporting events like the Lodge Project. Nathaniel is more than a GIS and asset management expert. He's a collaborator, a problem solver, someone who continually steps in to help the entire team succeed. Nathaniel, if you come up here. Nathaniel, with a lot of pride on behalf of the entire city and Public Works Department, I'd like to thank you for all the outstanding work you've done over the past year. And it's been a pleasure to work alongside you. And I look forward to working with you many more years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nathaniel, there's not a day goes by that I don't use the information that you provided, even today, in regards to the economic development data from 5, 10, and 15 miles away. Every single day I use that information to bring stuff into this town, including today. So I want to thank you personally for the work you do. It's invaluable to the success of Andover. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Presentation, the Heritage website, event update, and Megan and a gentleman named Mike Lease are going to talk to us about this tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I invite Mike up, I did just want to do one more quick summary of Heritage Fest. I know you guys heard the spiel last night, but we're going to do it one more time for the public to watch. I do want to thank Beth Green, our event coordinator. She's the one who's behind the scenes putting all of this together, so she's put a lot of work into this. So, Heritage Fest, it's this Saturday, May 17th, 11 to 4 p.m. at the Heritage, which is at the corner of Yorktown and Kellogg. It is free for families to attend, which we're really excited about. There's no admission to get in. It centers around the train robbery that took place in Andover in 1898. So a lot of people don't know that, but there was a train robbery. So we've incorporated some games and some merchandise that it's train themed and going back into that era to kind of bring Andover's history back to life. A few highlights, we will have Cup of Yo on site. They'll be giving out free yogurt for the first 1,000 people to show up. During the train robbery, there was an ice cream social that was taking place. So the community was all eating ice cream, and that's when the whole robbery took place. So we're just kind of bringing that back to life and bringing the ice cream social back for that. Livingston's Cafe is open. It opened back in the fall of 2024. So they'll be open their regular hours until 2 p.m. And they'll also be doing apple and cherry pie available by the slice for $2.50 and then takeaway biscuits and gravy for $5. We'll also have Social Tap, which is opening in the summer, last I heard. They will be having a beverage garden on site, so you can purchase beverages at Social Tap, which will be fun. Kids' activities include tug of war, gold panning, stilts, sack races, and three-legged races. And then we will have some music as well, the Diamond W Wranglers and the Haymakers, as well as a costume contest at 1 p.m. And what I'm the most excited for is Miss Purdy is coming up from Texas. She will be doing old-timey photos. So those photos that you can get at Branson, those kind of Western vibes, you can get a free photo, a free print with your family, your friends, or by yourself as well. So we're excited to welcome her to the event. We're also doing a panel discussion this Friday, so the Friday before Heritage Fest, that will feature local Andover historians. That will be held at the library from 5 to 7 p.m. So please come out and support that and hear probably something you don't know about Andover. More information can be found at andoverks.gov/heritagefest, or you can follow us along on Facebook for any updates as well. So I will turn it over to Mike. If you want to come on up, Mike, we have your picture pulled up, and then he'll go over the new webpage within the Heritage website. So I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, council, for your time and everything. I wanted to spend a little bit of time this evening just talking about the sculpture at the Heritage and the background on it, and why it's there, and what it can mean to this community. Because I think many people refer to it as a statue. We didn't go to Chicago and buy this off of a shelf. This sculpture was created from the beginning. We worked with Bill Gardner Group on the concept of the Heritage, and the sculpture was designed by Adam Adamson, with the Gardner Group, and then we employed Kurt Mattson, who's a nationally well-known Western artist out of Cave Creek, Arizona, to sculpt it. And we've got some pictures, I think, from the Heritage website, which, by the way, is theheritageandover.com. If you want to go to the website, if you've never been to the website, it's really, really newly reconstituted, and I think it does a pretty good job of exhibiting the sculpture. Heritage Plaza, which is, by the way, an Andover public park, and being very well maintained by the city of Andover. And I want to give special recognition to Rick Landsreth and Daniel Shepbaugh. It's just immaculate. They're just doing a beautiful job. It's a great place to hang out. Kids love it. And we've got one thing I think we need to do yet in it, and that is somehow get a historical plaque that explains the nature of the sculpture. I don't know if you can read. Well, you guys, you can't read that. You can go to the website and you can see the saying that we have there on the website. So it's in memory of the people who first came here and settled in this area and broke the sod as a leading into the wonderful place we have to live now. So it's quite a heritage, and I think special recognition needs to go to Megan too, because they've done a wonderful job of promoting the Heritage Fest. The picture of the train, I don't know if you all have seen it yet. You just need to see the poster of the advertising the great train robbery. Whoever did that really did it. It's really cool. So I hope that's a yearly event, and it'd be something the city could be proud of. But what I want to say is that the sculpture was put together. You can see that is all clay that you're looking at. That is in his studio in Cave Creek, and this sculpture is actually about 14 feet tall, is what it is. And you see somebody standing beside it. So it's that clay is cut up and then it was taken to Alpine, Utah, which is right out, same thing as Provo, Utah, to a foundry and cast in bronze in pieces and then put together. And it was brought here on a flatbed truck. So the point is, it's one of a kind. It's a piece of art. It's something the city can be proud of and hang their hat on. It's something going on a city website, and it beautifies the city and unifies the city. And so, not because it's at Heritage. If it was anywhere, it would be a wonderful piece of art that is designed from scratch and sculpted by a nationally recognized sculptor, and it just needs to be recognized that and appreciated, I think. And that's the only reason I'm here is because I think it's underappreciated locally for what it really is. It's a wonderful piece for this entire state of Kansas. So any other, let's see, and it's a great gathering place for the city. It does need to be maintained, and Rick and Daniel know all about that. It needs to be cleaned probably once a year and a new layer of wax applied. And if that's done in taken care of, it will last indefinitely because it's bronze, it's heavy, it's good stuff, and it never wears out. It just needs to be protected some so it doesn't lose its luster and its quality. I want to put in one more blurb about July 12th. There's going to be a market of farms at the Heritage, and that is going to go on all day. And that is where growers bring their produce in from all over the state. It's originated by the Kansas Farm Bureau, and it's where people market their homegrown beef, lamb, vegetables, all kinds of stuff. They set up their own booths, and it goes on all day. And it's like from 9 to 5 or something during the day. And July 12th is a Saturday, so that will turn out quite a few people that are really interested in getting hooked up with somebody they can reorder and continue to order their products from. And that'll be inside, that'll be in the parking garage underneath the Skylofts Apartments because they want to be out of the weather if there's any weather or if it's a real windy day. So that's about it. Our website, again, is theheritageandover.com and tells all about the heritage and the sculpture. So, and remember, it's not a statue, it's a sculpture. It's a work of art. Thank you very much.
Can, Mr. Lees, can you confirm or deny that the arms off the statue were depicted from the Mayor of Andover's arms?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Was the arms of the sculpture depicted from the Mayor of Andover's arms?
Yeah.
I didn't know Ben Lawrence's arms looked like.
We appreciate what you've done for the city and moving it forward. And I value what you've done for our city, and I value our friendship. Thank you, my
Well,
friend.
we've had a very good relationship with the city of Andover, and Les, he's been there from the beginning. Little rough start, but we got to be friends, and it's just great things are happening for Andover. We're just so proud of it. Really excited to be here, and we're doing other things too, and things are coming to Andover. Things are starting to pop. So, but my message tonight was about sculpture, and it's just I think something everybody can be proud of. We thought about having colors on it, but basically after talking to a lot of people, they all fade out. Like we wanted a red handkerchief, and it's got the plier pocket and the hammer loop, and this guy is a historian. All of his art is historically accurate to the detail. Every stirrup, every boot, every saddle it's original, even though it's cast in bronze. So anyway, hope you enjoy it.
I'd like to take a minute, if you don't mind, to tell people a story about us. When I was mayor-elect, Mike and Jerry reached out to me and they said, because I wasn't sure what the heritage was going to be, and I was kind of opposed to it. they reached out to me and I said, listen, I've been going up highway, Interstate 70, Interstate 40, and everywhere they do something like this, the infrastructure in the rest of town is ruined. And Mike looked at me in the eye and he said, Mayor, I promise you, Mayor-elect at that time, he said, if you help us carry this through, we will help you do the entire town. And Mr. Lease is a man of his word. He owns a corner at 13th Street and Andover Road. He owns a corner at 21st Street and Andover Road. And he did exactly what he told me to do. He said, I will not let the rest of your city fall short because of the heritage. And for that, I appreciate your honesty and integrity, my friend.
We're on our way. We'll get her done one way or the other.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Consent agenda 9-1 through 9-4.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
move to approve the consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.4 as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Property Maintenance Code. Les Mangus will talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the next three items have to do with Chapter 4 of our city code regarding buildings and construction. The first before you is an ordinance to adopt the International Property Maintenance Code. We've had a property maintenance code for decades, which has been derived from the International Property Code. But this is the first time we'll adopt it in its entirety. This is the code that regulates existing properties, residential, non-residential, inside the structure, outside the structure, and the premises around the structure.
So can you elaborate for the mayor that's not that bright?
Certainly. This has to do with, let's say, the collection of debris or construction materials around a premises, or dead trees, or dilapidation of the exterior of a structure, or even the interior of a structure. This code is to keep properties safe and habitable for those who reside within them.
Who will be Mr. Mayor, can I ask? Who will be, I guess, and what's the enforcement on this, or will there be someone driving around?
Yes,
doing
we'll
this?
have a code enforcement officer who will be his function to enforce this code as well as other city codes.
Does that include vector attractions? Something that would attract a rat?
Yes, absolutely. I'm following up on that phone call. I haven't got a return call yet.
I got one as I was sitting here tonight, so it's time, you know what I mean? It's time for us to have something to.
And it's come up a couple times before in various meetings, came up tonight in regards to like construction, dirt and that kind of stuff. Is there going to be something in here with like any minimizing that, or is that a different section? Is this residential, or is it going to be commercial, everything?
This property maintenance code is all existing properties. The construction codes, Rick can talk to you a little bit about stormwater management and erosion control. That's generally when we get into the issues of mud on the road or blowing dirt or silting from a construction site.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Hold on 1 minute,
Oh.
please.
What about if there is water damage in a building? Mold, things like that that happen?
Absolutely. This is about the safety and the habitability of any structure, whether it's residential or commercial.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just one more thing, then someone would contact the city if their landlord or something had a problem with mold in a residence or mildew in a residence, they would contact the city and say, hey, I've got this problem. I need to talk to your
Code enforcement officer.
code enforcement officer. CEO. Okay.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Article 5 of the City Code, adopting by reference to International Codes Committee Property Maintenance Code.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Unified Building and Trade Code application, and Les will speak to us about this as well.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this ordinance adopts the Unified Building and Trades Code as adopted by the Metropolitan Area Building and Construction Department. The UBTC acronym is what they use for this 248-page document that contains all of the amendments that are adopted to the international family of codes, the building code, the residential code, electric, mechanical, so forth. We've taken very little exception to those codes as adopted by MABCD. One, Mr. Berry, is that we still require in Andover that we have the smoke alarms for every bedroom. And Chief Roosevelt and Russell have asked for some amendments to things regarding the size of buildings and the requirements for sprinklers to be straight as written by the code, in lieu of some amendments that Wichita has made, because let's say they can assemble a bigger fire response quicker than Andover, so they allow a little bit larger structure without being sprinklered. So those amendments are very few, considering we're probably looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 pages of codes that are adopted in this UBTC. There's 248 pages. I'm going to tell you that most of those amendments have to do with contractor licensing and fees.
Any questions?
In regards to those fees, are we increasing then, decreasing, flat rate? I mean, is it a positive, I mean, what do you see as?
The end result will be very similar in the way fees are collected. That's the next agenda item where we'll talk about that fee table and the adoption of the same fee calculation table as is used in Wichita and Sedgwick County.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Les, I guess my question is this affecting, I mean, what is like the biggest change per se? If I'm building houses now in Andover, is this changing anything that I've done, last year to this year, or when this gets adopted?
We're still operating on the 2012 code. This brings us up to the more modern codes, the 21 residential code and the 24 building codes, which are the codes that are the standard for the Wichita metro area.
So if I'm currently building a house and we sign this, when I didn't see where it took effect. Now
It takes effect immediately upon the publication.
So if I pulled a permit though, and I'm building my house, is it going to be our old codes or the new codes?
They're able to finish out permits.
Okay.
On the
Close
code
to
that they were.
So any permits that were
approved.
pulled today and before?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an ordinance to incorporate the Metropolitan Building and Construction Department Unified Building and Trades Code.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 12-1 construction permit fee resolution. Les will speak to us on this matter as well.
We adopt fees for all of our permitting in a resolution. This resolution makes a few changes to the table that we use to calculate building permit fees. Building permit fees in Andover are based on the valuation of the work done, both residentially and non-residentially, which is contrary to the way MABCD collects fees. But we are sticking with a code table for that fee in Andover. There are some minor changes because for many, many years, maybe decades, Andover has had its own homegrown table. The table we're prepared to adopt tonight is the ICC table that's used all over the United States. So a person who does business in another jurisdiction is familiar with these values. The end result, some of the fees may go up a little bit, some may go down a little bit, but we don't see gross changes in those fees. There are also fees in this resolution for fire department activities. We keep all of those fees together in this one resolution just for simplicity. Those fees are collected here at City Hall by our permitting department, not through the fire department.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution amending the fee schedule for building, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, fire code, and related permits.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Resolution relating to exercise of company's Kansas Medical Center option to purchase the project. And JT, I'm sorry, sir.
That's right, Mr. Mayor, council members. In 2014, the city issued industrial revenue bonds to finance the Kansas Medical Center's medical office building expansion. Those bonds were retired in March. This resolution has everything in it necessary to remove all those legal entanglements and to place this back in the name of the real estate owner. I am totally capable of going through every one of those in great detail, and if you would like me to do so, I would do so. But the reason we prepare a resolution is so that you don't have to approve all of those legal documents.
Homer, you got this one.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution approving and authorizing the sale of a certain project financed with the proceeds of Series A 2014 and Series B 2014 industrial revenue bonds issued by the city of Andover for the purpose of paying the costs and improvements to KMC Mob LLC and authorizing the execution and delivery of a special warranty deed, a bill of sale, a termination and release of lease, and a satisfaction discharge and release of indenture to the Kansas Medical Center, and the execution of all necessary legal documents to complete such transaction.
Second. All of that.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Water rates and equity surcharge ordinance, and Jolene is going to speak to us about this. How are you tonight?
Doing well. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight is a culmination of several workshop discussions that we had in March and April regarding our water fund in relation to the incredible economic development opportunities that the city of Andover have had in recent years, both through grants and state and federal funding. Those are the anticipated Kellogg expansions, phase 1 and 2, as well as Founders and Yorktown Parkways. These projects, which we could not have done on our own and have been gifted these funds for them to come to fruition, have also placed a real strain on our water fund. And our water fund, while we do not operate water distribution, the city of Andover does own the water lines providing the service. So we do have a responsibility for the replacement of failed water lines and to relocate water lines in the event of an economic development project such as Kellogg expansions. The Kellogg Phase 1 and 2 expansions will be in excess of $2.5 million, we estimate at this point in time. Yorktown and Parkways, as part of that economic development project, was the installation of a water main coming in at roughly $1.26 million. So these costs, in addition to your current policy to bear the cost to upsize mains as you take in new development to prepare down the line for development to come in so as to avoid an increase of future costs, this water fund is projected to run into the negative in 2027. So the direction by you was to approach any fees very thoughtfully, ensuring a balanced and appropriate mix of fees from existing users, new development, and only if necessary from a mill levy allocation. We talked a lot about the philosophy of how a utility is to sustain itself with this influx of economic opportunities. There is a real need to look at this. So the attached ordinance accomplishes the following three measures. It's increasing the minimum user surcharge, which is the funding currently revenue source in this fund. And it is raising it from $1.35 to $2.35 beginning July 1st of this year, and to increase at 35 cents per month beginning in January 1st and continuing through January 1st of 2028. It also establishes for the first time a water main equity surcharge for new construction. This is a $600 charge that is based on the meters, excuse me, this is a fee based on meter size, $600 for a 1-inch meter, $1,200 for a greater than 1-inch meter. And it will increase that fee at a rate of 3% per year, and that beginning on January 1st of 26 through 2028, as outlaid in your report on the chart. And at this time, we are not contemplating a need to do any transfers from the general fund in your 2026 budget. For financial implications, we do look at possibly having to assist this fund from a transfer from the general fund in 2028. But as you know, with our annual budget process, this is a year-to-year evaluation that we do. And so we will be able to watch how this fund is affected from year to year as we go through the annual budget process. We'll be able to gauge how these fees are hitting the fund and how costs are coming in. It's really quite an ideal time when we meet to discuss the budget for 2028 that we will have a lot better knowledge and estimates of the cost for the Kellogg relocation. So if you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
How will this affect incoming business in the future, financially speaking? Will it be a burden to them, or am I way off base, or can you explain it to me?
So when we looked at developing recommendations for these fees, we really looked at not being a burden, but falling more in the middle of the pack in the region. So we really took a good hard look at the Wichita Metro region, what other utility customers, water utility customers are paying in terms of user fees and in terms of an equity fee. And so we did that analysis. It's published in the workshop meeting notes as well online.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one. Jolene, can you, just for the public, we've talked about it a lot, but can you rephrase or say it again, we own the water lines, correct? The city of Andover owns the water lines.
That is correct.
Okay. So we not, just because we don't own the water department, I just kind of want the public to realize that, because that was new for me when I got on the council. I didn't realize that. I thought it was all covered by Wichita. So the city is responsible for maintaining, updating, moving the water lines. I am not one to, I'll vote yes for this, but I'm not a big fan of increasing bills, especially in this time. But this is one that is needed. We do need this fund to be able to bring business in, to be able to move lines. So I just need the public to know that we do own and maintain the water lines. So it's not just Wichita that takes care of that.
So Dana, could I get you to put that in the email to me, that for the mayor message, that we can explain to the folks the situation so that they understand that we own the lines, but not the water itself and the ability to,
And we
we'll
don't
figure it out.
And we don't own the meters.
And the meters. So, all right. I don't know how to word it, but we'll figure it out. Thank you. Okay. Good
Mr.
question, Tim.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 19, Article 2, Sections 19201 and 19202 of the Code of the City of Andover, Kansas regarding water rates and surcharges.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
I will say again, I'm not a big fan of raising rates for us as citizens or homeowners. But this is one that I have to vote for because we have to have water. It is kind of life sustaining. So we do have to pay Wichita. We do have to do this. So that's just my personal thing. I hate raising rates. Every time I go and see my mom, she screams at me about the cost of, stuff here in Andover. And this is just another one that she'll get to yell at me for, but it's just, unfortunately, it's a matter of, it's a matter of life.
And this governing body is laser focused on what's going on with the water and all that entails in the water and lack thereof. So we're just not throwing votes out here just to get by. We're actually, there's a lot of moving parts and we're a small part of it. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Yorktown Parkway Supplemental Engineering Agreement, and Les is going to talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor, Council, you may recall over the past month or so, we've had some agreements before you for your approval to make modifications to our Yorktown Parkway project to accommodate the new residential developments adjacent to Yorktown. In those agreements, there were some costs where the city saw some cost savings to our Yorktown Parkway project that we in turn agreed to make minor improvements in advance of these two residential subdivisions. This agreement before you tonight is for the extra work that our engineer PEC has had to do to modify the plans to accommodate those two residential subdivisions that kind of came on our screen after Yorktown Parkway was at final design. So these costs of $35,000 are in order to save the city some money on the project while accommodating two new subdivisions adjacent to the project.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
And it should be noted that in the financial implications, this is really an offset. Either way, we would be spending this money, but this is offsetting it to help us down the road, right?
Correct.
No pun intended.
And this has the effect of getting those utilities and storm sewer in place with our Yorktown project rather than the residential projects coming back after the fact and having to cut our new streets to install these improvements.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the move to approve the supplemental engineering agreement number 5 with PEC for additional services to modify the Yorktown Parkway project to accommodate adjacent residential development.
Second.
So pardon me for being late to the party. So in regards to Yorktown going from City Hall to 13th Street, we're working with developers to try to save both parties money by not waiting till afterward to put the road in and then come in and say, oh, by the way, you have to do this and I have to do that.
Correct.
So, right. So I just want to make it clear that to anybody that is listening or wants to listen, that the city staff is so far ahead of projects that they think of ways not only to save us money, the taxpayer, by the way, the city does not have money, it's taxpayer money, to joint efforts with the developers so that we can save money by doing projects at the same time, i.e. the project down at the, help me out, man, Point 9. We did that in unison so that we didn't have to pay, the developer didn't have to pay to do the project and then come back around and do the street project. It was joint effort to have it all done at one time, saving everybody money. And I mean, by everybody, I mean the taxpayer and the business owner. Correct? All right. All in favor, any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Perry Creek 7th edition, and Les is going to talk to us about this.
Actually, I'm going to take it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight before you is a revised paving petition, amended resolution of advisability, and an amended developers agreement to accommodate a bid that came in over the engineer's estimate for paving on Prairie Creek 7th edition. The first petition that you received was at your meeting on July 9th. You also received an amended petition for the sanitary sewer on this project on December 10th. And all these documents were prepared or approved by your city attorney. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Jolene, is this, we chatted in a workshop a few weeks ago about the petitions, the being low and then they're coming back for bid and they're much higher. Is this the one we were speaking of that kind of changed our, they've came back a few times, or it's been?
This is one of quite a few that we have received recently. And we did talk about establishing a fee for repetitions, and your city attorney has provided that for us. So we do have it ready for you. I did want to let the governing body know that recently we have received cost increases largely due to tariffs. A project that Rick is working on, or he had purchased some products for the lodge with a rate increase of 6% starting in June, but they said in 3 months that it could be as high as 24%. Any products that are containing metal, Rick has reported to me that we're seeing increases of anywhere from 25 to 40%. So the market does seem particularly volatile right this minute. Would like to consider seeing if some of that volatility plays out just a bit. But I have been able to talk based on our workshop conversations to our engineering partners, to our developers about the process by which they are obtaining estimates, and that discussions that I've been able to have just from our workshop direction from you has been very helpful and very fruitful.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So Jolene, then at this time, we haven't done a charge or anything for repetitioning?
It will come to you for action before that charge would take effect.
And do we have an ETA on that, or is that still with legal?
legal team has developed the resolution and we can be broad.
I think what Jolene's saying, and I can say this because we met right before this meeting, this kind of late breaking, lots of concern among your construction partners in the area caused us to say, is this the right moment to be the first in the area to create a repetition policy with a significant financial implication? Or do we want to hold this, wait out some of this volatility? You are the policymakers. We did act on the direction given at workshop, and we can have it at your May 27th meeting if that is the direction you'd like to provide us. If you'd like us to sit a minute, see how the summer goes, and plan to bring this in the fall, we can do that too. I'd be open to that feedback.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I thought we had discussed that this would go against the architect or engineer who was providing low estimates and not the contractor for that fee.
I just want to be perfectly clear that it will probably end up going against the people who buy the homes and live in them. That's the bad part. The uniqueness of not being able to forecast costs at the particular moment is what has caused your staff to slow. Prior to this, there was concern, and in fact, we had information that engineers were instructed to keep the estimates low because it accomplishes two things. One, it allows the advertising for the lots to contain a lower than ultimately estimated assessment, which is not good for the city because we'll explain here in a minute on a public hearing why you want people to know what those taxes are going to be. But in addition to that, it allows them to keep their letter of credit low, which is a percentage of the amount that we think the thing is going to cost until we actually get the bids. So the real problem here is that these are extremely time-consuming staff undertakings. It is not time-consuming when the bid comes in for the engineer to write up their estimate to match the bid. I mean, it takes some time. But ultimately, because we've prepared all the legal documents based on that estimate, we have to amend everything. And the amendments are surgical, meaning we don't replace everything because, of course, we don't want to go back to start because we're worried about people who've bought lots or inquired about lots knowing that there would be special assessments on their lots. So we always go back and surgically amend all of the legal documents to increase this amount. There's no AI for that currently. There's only one guy who can go and do all of that. And it has just gotten to where, like on this particular project, this is already the second amendment on this particular project due to cost. So that's kind of a long explanation, Councilman Warrington, but unfortunately in the world of development, it's really difficult for us to assign anything other than a cost. And developers and engineers and lawyers, that's like myself, are ultimately going to find another way for somebody else to pay that cost. And I think ultimately it would end up being included as a project cost. The purpose of the fee, which by the way, you could waive on a case-by-case basis if someone felt like they were suffering extenuating circumstances, would be to discourage the activity of lowballing the estimates because then they do have a financial consequence. And it will be inconvenient because the developer will have to pay it at the time of repetition, although ultimately it could probably be included in the cost of the project. Does that make sense to everyone?
I do want to just clarify one piece of that. Losing my train of thought here. The one reason you may want to delay it, this was kind of what we spoke about earlier. I mean, if you want to we've got wording in there that you can waive it. So that would always be your purview. I guess the fear would be if in this climate, you put this in there, you may be getting to have an item to waive that every single time and then going and doing the work anyway. So what I think Jolene said well, but I'll say in different words, was she had this situation with another development where they got estimates that Les and Rick thought, don't feel right. And so she was able to say, hey, I don't know when it's going to come to effect. But the city of Andover's done doing this repetition business and we're going to start charging you a fee. Do you want to commit to this? And they said, no, hold on. Let's do that again. And so what she was trying to express, and like I said, she did a really good job, but I'll say it another way, is I do think even the looming coming of this policy is having the impact you want it to have. If you want to approve it at your next meeting, we can certainly bring it. But if you want to wait just a minute and see if some of this volatility settles out, hopefully in the next maybe 3 months, 6 months, something to that effect, then you could approve it before year end. Your discretion.
So we've had that discussion about zero forgiveness. You can't keep coming back for this stuff, right? Didn't we have that discussion more than one occasion?
I believe the way it's written though, currently, it's still giving you as the governing body the right to make a waiver. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, there is going to undoubtedly become an extenuating circumstance at some point where someone says, I could never have predicted this. It could be anything from soil sample that shows the subsurface requires the construction of a road and even a culvert or something that costs twice as much as even the best engineer could have ever estimated. So I think it's important that you leave yourself out as a council, a governing body, to say we're not going to charge this. Look, part of this is my fault. So I want to take the blame for that because I know that Tim, he's not going to want to raise the charges on anybody. He's been very clear tonight, and I appreciate that. The way it works right now is the bond counsel fee is based on the amount of bonds issued, and there is one other component for temporary notes. We charge $500 per petition. And that's because when we get one of those petitions, we almost always have to correct it. And then it needs to be put into an advisability resolution, and then it needs to be worked into a work ordinance, and then it needs to be put into a development agreement. So the way it is now, the way our fees are based on bonds, we charge $500 for that, to do all of that. And that's all. And if you can imagine doing that 3 times unnecessarily
on one project,
then that cost is going to come back to the city. And that seemed like a fundamental unfairness. So, they kind of asked me what should be charged when you have to go into a repetition, which, by the way, is much harder than the first time around, because this sounds terrible, but we have forms for starting places with, right? We have AI in the legal business too, so we can start with a form that I can review if we get 3 petitions. But then when you change one, or 3 months later change another one, or heaven forbid 3 months later change another one, we have done projects in Andover where not one estimate ended up being above or equal to the actual cost, such that we had to do that on every thing. We could stop doing the advisability resolutions and work ordinances and just accept the petitions, and then wait. When it doesn't work out, we could adopt the advisability and work ordinance on the day the actual bids come in, so they could submit a new petition. The problem with that is it doesn't put the people who are buying homes on notice. It doesn't show up the same on their title insurance policies to show that there is a resolution of advisability that says this home is going to have special assessments on it and they are going to be X amount of dollars. I won't talk anymore. That's the hearing we're going to be scheduling here in a minute, where somebody can come in and ask, why are these special assessments this way? For years, we've said, you don't really get to ask us that because you knew about it when you bought your home. You had to. There's no way, if you got title insurance on your home, which is required, there's no way you couldn't know that this was coming. It's possible you didn't pay attention, but when they say, I didn't know anything about this and nobody ever told me about it, I couldn't have known I'm going to have these huge special assessments. That's not the case. So I just wanted to fill that in because I don't get to go to your workshops, and I'm sorry, I'm done now. It's just these are real costs to the city, and I think they've been perceived as just a service like everything else the city does, and so I don't care honestly when you do it, and I think staff might be correct, given the kind of the volatile nature of supplies right now, maybe you should wait, but just full disclosure.
Thank you. That was a good explanation.
I personally think we should probably hold off on it for 30 to 60 days. One, because you have the tariff situation. So at some point, the cost of construction materials is going to have to settle somewhere. But then again, to JT's point, if we hold off for 30 to 60 days and then we do roll it out and then we get into a place where we have to start enforcing it, it's going to get passed on at the end of the day to the people buying those homes. So that's not a great situation to be in either, because while we incur additional costs for having to rewrite petitions, it gets passed on essentially to the homeowner because they're not going to sustain those costs. They're just going to pass them on at the end of the day. So that is not an ideal solution as well.
Yeah, and I want to correct one thing, because I think Council Member Warrington touched on it. We tried, so I was incorrect when I said it would be included in special assessments. It wouldn't, because it would be a fee you'd have to pay when you submit your repetition. It would be a developer's fee. I just wanted to be clear, and I think Councilmember Hamilton figured it out. Those costs get paid up. They get passed
Right.
on to the home buyer.
I was gonna ask you about that because I thought we had discussed that would be a fee and not, as you had mentioned, paid by the property owners.
I got kicked under the table for, yeah, we specifically did decide it would just be a fee that the developer would have to pay at the time of the repetitioning. But I also don't want to mislead anybody into think that those costs wouldn't be included in the price of the lot or the price of the home later on. Sure.
And also someone who's in construction, there's a lot of people who just want to blame things on the tariffs. And I talk to my suppliers, my manufacturers, where they get their stuff, and most of the stuff is not. I mean, you know, some manufacturers will just want to go up just because someone in China or Europe or somewhere else is going up because they have to. So they're raising it here, you know, on some things, but most of that is not affecting us. So we're not buying pipes, we're not buying asphalt, we're not buying steel beams because we make our own steel here. You know, we buy the commodities that shipped over and we make it. So unless you're buying some small little item that's pre-manufactured, and maybe that will, you know, add some to it, but most of the stuff is made here.
So where you at on this, Councilman Warrington? Yeah, your name. What's your thoughts?
I think, I mean, we can hold off for a little bit, but the whole point of the thing is to make sure the architect and engineers aren't lowballing it, and also making sure that we're not having to redo these time and time over again. I mean, if we want to wait till next month, that's fine, but it's just not going to go up that crazy. So I would like to see it next month.
How many staff hours does it take to redo a petition?
Including legal.
Yeah. I mean, just rough, you know, I kind of throw you guys on the spot, but how many staff hours does it take to redo one of these?
Again, it depends, because you have, on the one that's coming up, you have 16 different special assessment projects for 5 or 6 different editions. And so to revise one of those and rewrite that probably takes the legal assistant in my office 4 to 6 hours, and then 2 hours of attorney time.
Okay. Plus less, do you touch it, or Jolene? I mean, actual staff touches it.
Yeah, and usually staff gets it first. We'll frequently make corrections before it gets to legal, and then we might make additional corrections. And sometimes we even have to get together and agree who's right.
So right now, we just charge one fee for a petition, and then they can bring it back as many times as.
To be clear, we don't charge them anything.
Oh.
My fees are included in the bond issue.
Okay, so it's
So,
part of
so
the
it
bond.
it has been totally, so there's no confusion, it's been totally free to them. There is one other historical fact that you should be made aware of. For years, you had a policy of just requiring engineers to put 35% contingencies on their project costs. That's because these petitions need to cover the interest on the temporary notes while it's issued, all of the legal fees that are charged, the engineering fees that are charged. So the city had just, for a long period of time, just decided that you get your engineering estimate exactly where you think it's going to cost, and then add 35% contingency. And the city was challenged on that when interest rates dropped so significantly, when we were issuing temporary notes at below 1% for 2 years. And so the city said, okay, we'll take 30%. The surprising part about that is that extra 5% also protected against this cost, because it's just a contingency line item. And now we don't have that cushion anymore. And interest rates have increased. So the 30% is not too much anymore to cover everything when we get to issuing bonds. I mean, that covers everything: the attorney general's fees, the bond counsel fees, everything.
First and foremost, as long as, I don't want it to fall back on the taxpayers, because the city doesn't have money. Man, I can't emphasize it enough. People always say, well, the city this, the city that. The city's bank account comes from my pocketbook. So if if it bounces off on a homeowner, I don't like that either, but I don't want to share. First and foremost, it's the taxpayer. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and it's doing that when they have to come back 2 and 3 times
Right.
or more.
Yeah, it's costing us more money.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
in the last 3 months, let's say, how many would we have even looked at waiving, if they had said, oh, are we talking, we would have waived 3, or we would have waived, how many changes have come in the last 3 months? Because I guess I'm leaning towards, let's go ahead and implement it and then work with the waiver on it if it's a volatile market. But like Mike had said too, are they just trying to have a reason for it? I want this to be a deterrent
Yes.
to bad practices and the low balling. So I'm in favor of go ahead and implementing it. Obviously not tonight, but ASAP, 27th, if you want to do it on the 27th, that's fine.
Or even the first, one in June. That's
I say the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah, either one of those. I say we go ahead and move forward with it, and then let's work with them on the waivers if the market's that volatile, and if staff feels like we shouldn't have charged it, then bring the waiver to us and let's talk about it then. But I think we go ahead and implement like we talked about in the workshop and go ahead and put it in place.
All right. Governing body, how do you want to act?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the revised petitions for paving improvements, approve the amended developers agreement, and adopt amending resolution of advisability related to the Prairie Creek 7th edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 16-2 Prairie Creek 7th edition, second amending work ordinance.
Mr. Mayor.
That what? Did I miss that?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I just figure we've been discussing this a lot. We
All right.
probably already know what's coming, so could I?
Have at it, please.
All right.
I'm begging you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt amending ordinance authorizing the construction of certain internal improvements related to the Prairie Creek 7th edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
0.
I'm sorry, 6-0. Inside joke. I'm gonna keep it there. Bid award Prairie Creek 7th edition paving and storm sewer improvements.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Pearson Construction LLC, Wichita, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $691,198, and reject all other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for paving improvements to serve Prairie Creek Edition 7th phase.
Second.
Rick, you have anything you're dying to tell us?
Nope, I think it's been pretty well said so far.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. All right, Central Square CAD Field Ops / RMS Annual Renewal. You got 30 seconds, go.
Okay. Mayor and City Council, before you is the annual renewal for CAD and RMS for police and dispatch, and then field ops for the fire department. We continue to build. We go live in July 7th, actually, so it's coming up pretty soon. This is just for the services that Central Square provides, along with 3 servers that will provide us the backup and redundancy in case this one server goes down, to keep us operational. The cost for this is $92,706.28. 59% of that will be paid from the 911 budget, the state fund budget that we get, and then 41% will be paid from the PD operational cost under contractuals.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Becky, I mean, what would we do without this service? What would happen if we said no?
If we said no to renewing this, well, we just spent $358,000 on this service. We would be out of a computerized dispatch system, so dispatchers wouldn't have a way to look at maps and the right units, enter stuff quickly. Officers wouldn't have it in their cars, on their mobiles. They wouldn't be able to look up their own tags and their licenses, check for warrants, do their cases in their car instead of having to come and sit in the station. Fire department wouldn't have the ability to actually put themselves en route and clear from scenes on their own calls. That's what the field ops is for the fire department.
So first responders could not do their job without this.
We'd be backdating 30 plus years, pen and paper.
Back to the heritage way.
Back to
Mr. Mayor.
Rand McNally maps.
Mr. Mayor, I think this fits pretty well, this item, with a conversation we had last night. So your purchasing policy determines where things go on an agenda. This is an annual software renewal. $92,000 is a critical tool for your staff to do their job. And because it is at such a high threshold, it's a regular agenda item. So perhaps I'm putting words into Councilmember Henry's mouth, but it is the kind of thing where it's kind of like it's a no-brainer, right? Like if you vote no, then we have a serious operational problem, but we acknowledge that the cost is enough that we've determined that it merits a spot on your regular agenda. So I think it's important for us to know the operational cost of doing the business of the city.
I think Homer's point was to just make sure that everyone knew that it's a significant software that helps day to day with 911, police, fire, and such. And just, yes, it's a lot of money, but I think the point was just to say this is something that we have to have. So,
I just don't want the public to think that we skim, over this stuff or take it lightly, that it is really need to operate the 911, police, fire. Although when I'm getting pulled over, I don't want it to work, but it is needed. Yeah, I know, right? So it is needed. And so I see that, but I wanted there not to be a rush to just approve without the people in the community understanding, what it takes to have a great fire department, a great police department, and first responders, 911 center. You don't know until you need it how good Andover has it with having their own 911 communication. And to have that, you have to back it up with $92,000 worth of software every year. So I get it. Software is expensive.
Again, your local government has more to do with your day-to-day life than the President of the United States. Your quality of life starts right here and we take it very personal. So, right?
Well, and, you know, to piggyback off of Homer, the perk of having your own 911 center in Andover is I can pay almost $55,000 out of the 911 tax fund that we wouldn't be able to do. Police department would still need an RMS system. They would still need access to NCIC. The fire department would still need access to be able to do their part of their jobs. So I can cover a lot of the costs of the state 911 fees that are restricted to what I can use it for. And this is one of the big things that we can use this fund for.
I like that, Becky. And it just goes back to that story that the mayor had a couple years ago in regards to just 2 miles the other side. Would you wait 2.5 hours for, first responders to get to get a situation he was in? So I applaud our first responders in the 911 center. And I love the fact that if I need 911, someone's there to answer it. So I really appreciate that.
Agree.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize payment to Central Square Technologies for annual software costs in the amount of $92,706.28 for Andover Police Department's computer-aided dispatch (CAD) and records management software (RMS) systems.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. You went way over your 30 seconds.
I tried not to. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. I appreciate you. All right. Oh, boy. Series A 2025 General Obligation Bond Public Hearing Resolution, and Matt is going to talk to us for a long time about this.
Thank you, Mayor. We've talked a lot about the beginnings of getting a special assessments project, but on the flip side, we have 5 subdivisions here that are finishing up their special assessments projects. So it's time to start the process of what it takes to be able to assess those. So the first thing is we have to have this public hearing. These 5 subdivisions have a total bond cost of just over $6.3 million. If you have any questions, I'm sure JT is happy to answer.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution to set a public hearing for June 10th, 2025, to hear public input on special assessments for Heritage Way paving, Summerlin Edition, Heritage 3rd Edition, Cottages at Cornerstone Edition, and Prairie Point at Cornerstone 3rd Edition.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion?
See everybody June 10th.
Excuse me?
I said see everybody June 10th.
Oh, yeah. See everybody's June 10th. Am I done? I always screw that up. Excuse me?
Vote.
All right. 19-1 ordinance.
We need to vote.
Well, I said that. Any further discussion? And you interrupted me.
Sorry.
Scared me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Ordinance amending city code regarding park hours. Daniel Shaypaul, one of my best buddies.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This evening, this item before you is for modifying part of your city code, specifically Chapter 11, Article 2, Section 11-202. Several sections in this one, 2 of which, after working with Jolene and Rick and Chief Buchanan, have to do with some housekeeping and growing pains as we have brought on new properties in the park and recreation inventory, so that we have more specifically adapted park hours for different use types. The old code language was very broad, and it applied park hours across the entire space without too much consideration for the type of use. So in your packet, we have broke out some suggestions after review for adopting specific times at various properties, and that the ordinance would then state, or sorry, the city code would then state that the park hours would be posted at those particular locations. So we would recommend sticking with the existing at Central Park and 13th Street Sports Park, which is essentially 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and going 6 a.m. to midnight Fridays and Saturdays to help accommodate with the additional event traffic, activities at the concert venue and so forth. Heritage Park Plaza, again, a little bit different type of space, looking at going 6 a.m. to midnight every day of the week. Your neighborhood parks, mini parks, several of you are familiar with some of these, shortening up those hours, going 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then Harry Nature Trails, which is not really fitting in either any of those categories, to be honest. And we'll go 30 minutes before sunrise to 30 minutes after sunset. Additionally, Jolene also caught there was some dated language in section C. It's noted in your packet and recommending removing the governing body from the actual permission levels there, since in the past year or so we have moved some of those special event reservation processes to the staff level with your director of public works and city clerk and public safety chiefs, et cetera. I think that's a fair summary of it. Essentially, you're changing sections B and C as described in there to move to have the hours posted on property, and then also to have permissions not have to go to the governing body related to the overnight use that rarely happens but occasionally does. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about this. Also, maybe Chief Buchanan or Jolene.
Any questions, anyone?
Chief, has there been issues with enforcement, which is kind of what's prompted this, the hours?
It was not brought up because enforcement, just cleaning it up, because some of the officers have complained, hey, you're trying to talk about at the park, they're not posted well. You do catch people out here. The best part is education. It's what we've tried to do more than anything. You do have people who want to come out and fish or do whatever, and it's like, okay, identify who they are, but yet how do they know they're out at the park after hours or whatever it is? So we just want to clean it up and make it better.
And that brings up, Mr. Mayor, it brings up, so I guess I just immediately when I saw this, I get concerts and stuff like that in midnight, but I'm just kind of like, what are we doing till 11 o'clock in Central Park? Does it really need to be at 11 o'clock? But you bring up fishing. I guess I never thought about that, but what other things are people doing then at 11 o'clock in the parks to Sunday through Thursday?
You got people walking. I mean, you have people just out and about, especially those that work odd shifts, late shifts. We talked about the Heritage is a perfect spot. You live in the apartments, you want to kind of unwind or whatever. So we don't very rarely have issues, but usually it's just someone, again, just out for a nice walk.
I'll give you an example, Homer. Cammy and I will grab ice cream and it'll be 10:30 and we'll go walk, Lake George and eat our ice cream on a Tuesday night.
Councilman Henry, your park reservation policies and process allow for late into the evening reservations at several city facilities, including the park shelters and the conference cabin, the community center, et cetera.
Thank you, Dan.
And it's worth noting too that obviously to JT's point earlier, there's an exception for city authorized events can be not maintained, but conducted beyond these hours.
Thank you for that input. I mean, obviously thought than just picking a time out of the day went into this. So I really appreciate it. And it sounds like it was a collective effort between a lot of people. So I appreciate staff on that.
So Buck, if you catch someone out the park fishing at 11:30, it's just a educational opportunity to say, pack your bags.
Oh my goodness, I'd say in the last 15 years, I've heard of maybe one citation at all. And it was after giving multiple warnings and turn into where you can't make me do something and here's a ticket. So 99% of the people we've ever dealt with are very nice about it and just didn't know I could be out here this late or whatever it is. So usually don't have problems at all.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to amend Chapter 11, Article 2, Section 11202 of the Code of the City of Andover regarding park hours as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Public Works purchase zero-turn mowers. Rick will speak to us about that. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you is a budgeted expense for purchasing 2 mowers for the street department. I would like to mention that you have Vern Tripp, who's so patiently waited this evening for this item. We solicited bids for this, and the low bidders is for the Skags. We have multiple Skags in our models and brands like similar to this in our fleet in the Parks Department already. We've had pretty good success and luck with those. I'll kind of keep it kind of short since it's kind of gone on a little bit. But if you have any questions, I'm sure Vern would be happy to answer those.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the purchase of 2 mowers for Hoover Mower Sales, Benton, Kansas, in the amount of $26,618.
Second.
Vern, would you like to come up and talk about the mowers, the length, the blades and all that stuff? No.
Might even get some robot ones.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Members item, I'll start with Mr. Barry.
I just want to remind everybody that here in Andover, school lets out on not this coming Thursday, the 15th, but the 22nd. So just be careful. You'll have kids in the neighborhood playing and all that fun stuff. So school, can't believe school is almost out. Rick, I asked you last night about the 159th. I just kind of wanted to get that more, I guess, on record per se. But you guys, how were the lights last night? Did Evergy do their job?
So we went out and looked at it, and Les, I, and Jolene all went out and looked at it, and kind of walked up on the berm, and we could see the light is still protruding over into the neighborhood. I did talk with our Evergy today about it, and the individual that I spoke with is going to look at some potential shields that can help if that manufacturer has something that can go on there, or some other alternatives.
And then the manhole covers.
They're out there rattling, and we talked about that also, about getting the responsible party to come out and get them put in. But we will make sure something gets done one way or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Heritage Fest. I'm overly excited for the panel discussions happening Friday night. I've lived in Andover almost my entire life, and to be honest, one of the hardest parts of sitting up here is learning about our past to kind of understand how we got to where we are, and kind of learning from the missteps, the things that were done right, and then taking that and sitting up here and making decisions on how to shape the future. And so I'm super excited for that. Daniel, side note, if you need help waxing the sculpture, whenever you're doing that, sign me up first in line. I'm there. I'm there.
Thank you. I just want to tell, I mean, kind of piggybacking off what Phil said, we had a lot of things tonight, with the KMC coming off their IRB, and then that'll be going on the tax roll. I mean, that was really technically, I don't think any of us up here, right? Mike. Mike was the one that had future, because that was from 2014, right? So, I mean, that's awesome to see, and see where we're going with a lot of more economic development, coming, and that we've done over the years that we, hadn't done in the past. And so bringing that now, and I think that attributes to what staff has done. And like Rick said in his speech about Employee of the Year, I mean, it's about having good staff in positions. And, I was uplifted by your speech for Employee of the Year. I thought it was awesome. So, it's those little things that people don't see that come together and help everything. So I just really appreciate the teamwork that goes into from Megan being on Wichita by EP and pumping up Heritage Fest to the panel discussion that's going to come on Friday night to Heritage Fest. I'm looking at this being a jumping off point for people to say, hey, what are you doing on Heritage Fest night? Just like when GAD's coming up, what are we doing for GAD? Just another thing that's kind of that spring part of the year versus GAD's in the fall. So I'm really excited for that, and I appreciate all the work staff's done. Thank you.
I just wanted to piggyback on Councilman Berry saying with school ending, that means congratulations to all the graduates at both high schools and also Academy as they are also graduating. This week is Law Enforcement Appreciation Week, so just another opportunity to tell you guys thank you. Last week was Fire Appreciation Week, so Chief Russell, thank you to your men and women as well. And I would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge our very first responder, Becky, in the communications department. So thank you for all you do.
Just because we've talked about this recently, I just wanted to say that Megan's going to come out with the fireworks times soon. So just kind of look out for that, and when you see it, kind of spread it around so people can make sure they understand.
24/7, right?
No, those are extra words that will be added to. So
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adjourn.
Second, Katie's.
Calm down a little bit.
Way past my bedtime.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.